The Last of Us came out 12 years ago. It almost hurts to say that. And what can be said about this game that hasn't already been said? It's almost impossible. It's one of the best-selling PlayStation games of all time, one of the most awarded, one of the highest rated. But beyond that, The Last of Us defined a generation. There's a before and an after The Last of Us. The game received the remaster, which I love, and the remake, and it's no coincidence that this game just won't die. People love this game, they adore its characters, it's a story that the more time goes by, the more fondly we remember it. And with the series having just wrapped its horrendous second season, I felt a huge urge to replay this masterpiece. So I picked up the remake for the first time. I had never played it before. I used to think it wasn't worth buying since I had already played the game, I already knew the story, everything. But I really didn't enjoy the show, so I decided to start The Last of Us Part 1. And today, I'm going to share my experience with this incredible game and universe. So, without wasting much more of your time, just remember to please subscribe if you're interested, and let's get to it. The game opens up by introducing us to our protagonist, Joel, a single father living alone with his daughter Sarah in Texas. One night, he comes home while talking on the phone with his brother Tommy and finds Sarah asleep on the couch. He wakes her up and we find out it's Joel's birthday. Sarah gives him a watch and we get a sweet moment between the two. She falls asleep again and Joel carries her to bed. Hours pass and Sarah suddenly wakes up to her phone going crazy with calls from Tommy, saying he urgently needs to talk to Joel. And the call drops. This is the first time we get to control a character in the game, and the fact that it's Sarah is perfect. With the perspective we get, everything feels tenser, and it's likely designed to help us connect deeply with Sarah before the upcoming disaster. While controlling her, we can find a few items, including a birthday card she made for Joel. It's really sweet and shows right away how close these two are, how much they really love each other. Another item we find, which builds tension for what's coming, is a newspaper talking about a mysterious infection causing a spike in hospitalizations. Clearly, something strange is going on. As we explore the house, we enter Joel's room and see a news broadcast. The reporter talks about an infection, an outbreak in hospitals, containment, victims. It's clear something serious is happening. And here, we see a very simple mechanic that was implemented perfectly. The first time I saw it, it blew my mind. We see an explosion happen on TV, and right after, we see it through the window just outside the house because it's happening that close. I just find that completely incredible. Going downstairs, we find Joel visibly shaken, holding a gun like he's seen something terrible. Suddenly, the neighbor smashes the window and he bursts into the house to attack, but Joel shoots and kills him. He's visibly disturbed by it, but because Sarah is still a little kid, he stays strong for her. That's when we see Tommy for the first time, arriving in a car to get us out of this now chaotic city. The whole car sequence, where we can freely move the camera around, feels surprisingly freeing. I absolutely love it. It's incredible how immersive it is. Watching the entire city collapse around us bit by bit is just very disturbing in a way. In the end, the plan fails because everyone had the same idea, and it's here that we see just how bad things really are. Some infected kind of people wearing hospital clothes are roaming the streets and attacking people. After changing routes, we end up in an accident where Sarah is seriously hurt in her leg, and Joel has to carry her. This scene as a whole is very important, especially for something that happens later, but I'm coming back to it when it happens. Now, running through the city, they search for a safe place, but there's nothing but chaos, accidents, fire, people dying, desperation everywhere. While escaping down an alley, some infected chases and Tommy stays behind to protect us. Joel continues, carrying Sarah, trying to find safety, and then we reach a point where a cutscene starts. We find a soldier, someone who's finally going to save us. But this scene, this is when we truly realize what kind of game this is going to be. This isn't the same Naughty Dog from Uncharted. No, this is different. Joel begs the soldier for help. The soldier radios in and follows his orders. He raises a gun and points it at Joel and Sarah, and he fires. They fall, Joel is okay, but the soldier goes to finish the job. Thankfully, Tommy appears just in time, and then this happens.
Sarah? Move your hands, babe. I know, baby, I know. God. Listen to me. I know this hurts, baby. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. All right, I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby. I know it hurts. Come on, baby. Please. I know, baby. I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on. No. No. No, no. Please. Please. Please don't. Please.
The game hasn't really even started and it already has us in tears. It's a heavy, tragic moment, but above all, it's deeply shocking. It's not something you normally see in any kind of media. A daughter dying in her father's arms within the first hour of the game, and the actors make this already dark scene even more perfect. Troy Baker gives a complete masterpiece in acting, and I don't just mean in a game, I mean acting, period. And Anna Hayes as Sarah is exceptional as well. This game's performances are literally Oscar level. In the game's intro that follows, we hear about how the infection is spreading across the United States and eventually across the world. It talks about how quarantine zones were created and introduces a group, a sort of militia called the Fireflies, who fight against the military. Basically, they fight against the government, but they've failed. And the intro ends in a way very iconic, even to this day, with the Fireflies' classic phrase.
Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. Believe in the fireflies.
Joel wakes up a bit agitated 20 years later. And I like to think that what we saw in the prologue is a recurring nightmare for him. It just makes sense. He now lives in this devastated world in a quarantine zone in Boston, making a living as a smuggler with a reputation of being a tough but quiet guy, though not as respected as Tess, his partner, so to speak. In this quick scene, we see that these two have a complicated relationship, and what's special is that the game hints at it very clearly at times, but never really extends too much on it. Tess walks in saying she made a delivery, it went fine, but she got attacked by Robert's man. Who's Robert? He seems to be an old partner of theirs who turned against them, and so, knowing where he's hiding, the two decide to go after him. In this opening section, even before reaching Robert, we can already feel what kind of world this has become. People being executed in the streets by soldiers for testing positive to this type of infection, food lines, soldiers everywhere. The quarantine zones mentioned in the intro are really serious business. To leave or enter, you go through checkpoints, and in one of them, we see the Fireflies blow up a truck, a group that supposedly was going to fight this so-called military regime now looks more like terrorists. And the infection is something people are already used to. Areas with spores mean infection, and it's necessary to wear a gas mask so you don't turn into these infected. Meanwhile, as we go through all of this, we run into some of Robert's men, we kill them, we do whatever's necessary, and eventually we do reach Robert. In this scene, it's even clearer that Joel is the muscle and Tess is the brains of the operation. While talking to Robert, he says that he sold our weapons to the Fireflies and can't get them back, but he's willing to help. But since we already have all the information we need, we don't need them anymore, and Tess ends up shooting him in the head. And here we have our first contact with the Firefly, Marlene, who is the head of the group. We can actually find wanted posters for her back in the quarantine zone. This is our first encounter with her as the player, though Joel and Tess already know her. At this point in the game, we know that the Fireflies are falling apart, are all disorganized, losing the fight basically. Their leader, who used to command many, now commands small groups. They can't even properly pull off a bombing on a small truck without consequences, showing some clear incompetence, okay? Here, Marlene says that if they want the weapons back and much more, they have to smuggle something out of the city. She doesn't reveal what, but when we arrive at the drop-off location, we see that it's a 14-year-old girl named Ellie. After some debating, they agree, and Joel stays with Ellie while Tess goes with Marlene to verify the weapons. This is the first real interaction between Joel and Ellie, and it's already a stab to the heart. Ellie mentions that Joel's watch is broken, the same watch he received on his birthday 20 years ago from Sarah. It's one of the first callbacks, so to speak, that Ellie causes in Joel. After a few hours, Tess returns, this time without Marlene, and confirms that the weapons are legit, and the trio decides to go ahead with the plan. It's interesting because during these moments they only know that Ellie is a 14-year-old girl who lost her parents. That's it. They even make some assumptions about where they're smuggling her, but Ellie never really confirms anything 100%. The trio moves through some tunnels frequently used by smugglers, and Ellie confirms that this is her first time on the outside, giving some context that she really has no experience here. They keep going until they're surprised by a soldier, and he does a typical infection scan. Tess is clean, Joel is also clean. When Ellie is scanned, she attacks the soldier, which makes Joel and Tess attack the soldiers so they could stay safe. Until they look at Ellie's scan and she's infected. This is when it's revealed why they're smuggling this girl. She's immune. Ellie confirms that the bite is 3 weeks old, and this is true because a bite turns anyone into the first stage of the infection, a runner in 2 days max. Joel is still very skeptical about all of this and believes Marlene set them up. Before they can even discuss it further, more soldiers show up, which forces them to run and try to hide. We have to make it through this dangerous area filled with soldiers and tunnels, and the trio finally gets a bit of peace, and Ellie reveals that the Fireflies are still trying to find a cure. That tiny, disorganized, broken group is who's trying to make a cure for the whole world. While Joel is very skeptical, completely disbelieving after everything he's heard over these 20 years, Tess starts to believe. Joel doesn't want to risk their lives for the possibility of a cure, and here Tess says, "I get it," while looking at Ellie, which tells me she knows about Sarah, she knows about what Joel has lost, and understands the real reason why Joel doesn't want to go on a journey with Ellie. He completely shuts down in this scene, which perfectly serves to show the contrast between the Joel of now and the Joel of a few months from now. The trio continues with the objective of reaching the Capitol building, the place where they're supposed to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies. They go through a destroying building that's falling apart, visibly abandoned, but nothing in this world stays abandoned for long. For the first time, we see a clicker, the second stage of the infection and probably the most iconic infected in The Last of Us. After getting out of the building, they reach a train station where we have another encounter with the infected, and even in this station we can find a Firefly note saying to meet the rest of the Firefly team at the Capitol building, and it even talks about Ellie, mentions her characteristics, a nice detail. We then move through a few more places, one of them being a museum full of infected where we're attacked, but everything ends well. We end up on a rooftop where we see, for the first time, Joel slightly open up emotionally.
So is that everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out. But man, can't deny that view.
Come on, this way.
Joel looks at his watch right after looking at Ellie. She's starting to remind him of Sarah. Right after this, they arrive at the Capitol building, which is heavily destroyed. Inside, they see that the Fireflies are dead. Tess, desperate, searches the bodies for clues, a map, orders, anything to make sense of it all. Joel once again tries to make them back out of this, that they've gone too far, but Tess is more agitated than usual, and this is when we find out she's infected. And it was back in that museum, okay? At least that's the most likely explanation. It makes sense considering where the bite is. She compares her bite to Ellie's and hers is already worse, even though it's much more recent, so Tess begs Joel to take Ellie to Tommy, since he had connections with the Fireflies. Joel really doesn't want to, but Tess guilt traps Joel because it's her last option. Once again, before they can even discuss anything further, some soldiers show up and Tess buys Joel and Ellie time to escape. After escaping, we enter a station and get what might be our first puzzle, let's say, or the closest the game gets to one. Our first real gameplay section where we work together with Ellie as a duo. After getting out, there's a cutscene where Joel says he's in charge. Ellie listens and stays quiet. I see this as Joel trying to shut himself off as much as possible from Ellie, trying to distance himself while staying in full control of the situation. Continuing their journey towards Tommy, Joel and Ellie go after an old friend of Joel who owes him some favors, Bill, and for that we arrive at one of my favorite sections in the whole game. The forest and Bill's town are absolutely beautiful. Just wanted to mention that. Before we find Bill, Joel warns Ellie that even though he's a good person, he's completely paranoid, crazy, insane, and we can see parts of that paranoia and even a certain intelligence while walking through the town, where we find several traps that explode on contact. It's also very important to mention that during these moments, Ellie and Joel talk and share little scenes where they start start to build a connection. They begin to get more comfortable with each other. For example, Ellie starts trying to whistle, she starts showing some of her interests like video games, music, things that she'll later share with Joel as a mutual interest. The game is full of these little moments, it's like a beautiful flower starting to bloom. After moving forward a bit and unfortunately getting caught in one of Bill's traps and ending up hanging upside down, we get this frantic scene that's easily one of the action peaks of the game, maybe. Bill ends up showing up and saving the duel, but of course he's a maniac. He handcuffs Ellie and forces Joel to his knees to check if they're infected. Ellie notices this, and since she doesn't want Bill to see her bite, she pulls a pipe off the wall and starts hitting him. This actually serves as a good distraction so he doesn't see that she's infected. Joel explains that they need a car in exchange for clearing all the favors Bill owes him. We never get to know what those favors are, but it definitely leaves me intrigued. Bill then explains that he needs a specific car part that's on the other side of the town, in the abandoned school, so he can get the car working. So the new trio begins their journey across the city towards the school. When we get there, the place is packed with infected, and to make things worse, the car battery, the item Bill needed, is gone. Someone had already taken it, and now we needed a new escape plan. We reach the school gym and face what is essentially our first kind of boss fight. A new type of infected, the bloater, something much tougher, stronger, and harder to take down than the others. We defeat the bloater, escape, and find ourselves in a house where we see a man Bill knew hanged. This man was Bill's partner, the same partner he mentions in a previous scene. And the strangest part about this is that Bill talks about him in a bitter kind of affection. Very harsh, like he was someone who hurt him a lot or someone Bill himself hurt, but his expression says something else, a different kind of affection. It's never 100% explicit, but long story short, Bill is gay, and this was Frank, his partner. Honestly, I really like this backstory for Bill, even more so when I read the letter that can be found written by Frank to Bill himself. In it, Frank basically says he was sick of Bill, that he hated him. He was tired of this town and Bill's attitude. He wanted more from life, and Bill would never understand that. He says he managed to get the battery Bill wanted so badly, and that Bill was right. Leaving that town was going to kill him, but it was still better than spending one more day with Bill. The worst part is that it's possible to give this letter to Bill. He throws it on the ground and you can pick it up afterward. Here we get the car working. Ellie is the one driving to get it rolling while Bill and Joel push. Once it starts, we go a bit further and leave Bill behind. And now Joel and Ellie have a car to continue their journey towards Tommy. Now, inside that same car, we get what is one of the best and most heartwarming sequences in the entire game and the whole universe of The Last of Us. Normally, The Last of Us is heavy, grounded as the creators like to say, but these two bring a much needed and welcome contrast.
What else did you get?
Well, here. This make you all nostalgic?
You know, that is actually before my time. That is a winner, though. Oh, man.
Well, better than nothing. Oh, I'm sure your friend will be missing this tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Light on the reading, but it's got some interesting photos.
Now, Ellie, that ain't for kids.
Whoa! How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
Get rid of that.
Well, hold your horses. I want to see what all the fuss is about. Oh, why are these all stuck together? I'm just fucking with you. Bye-bye, dude. You know what? This isn't that bad.
This scene is beautiful. After this, while Joel is driving and Ellie is sleeping, we see a traffic jam on the road, and Joel decides to take a detour. Here, we see a person hurt, but as Joel says, he's been on both sides.
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
Well, what about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
This whole section is interesting in terms of gameplay, but more so for giving Joel some background, revealing that he's been someone who attacked innocents, but also someone who was attacked and was that same innocent. And these are the little things that make me really want a prequel with Joel and Tommy during those 20 years we didn't get to see. It's also during this part that Ellie finally manages to whistle, those beautiful little moments between the two. After killing all the enemies in this area, we reach the hotel, a pretty iconic scene from the game. We kill lots of enemies and reach an elevator, well, the elevator shaft really. And while helping Ellie up, the elevator collapses and Joel falls all the way down. And it's at this moment that, for the first time, the duo gets separated. Here, we go through one of the tensest parts of the game. The nightmare of fighting infected in the dark, looking for a generator, dealing with stalkers, runners, clickers, and even a bloater. Nightmares. After escaping this hellhole and still looking for Ellie, we're attacked by a man. And just as Joel is about to die, Ellie shows up and kills someone for the first time. And here Joel doesn't want to admit he was saved by a child. But it's not just that. Throughout the entire journey so far, he's been trying to protect Ellie from having to do certain things, from seeing certain things. Killing someone was one of those things, but sadly now he can't admit, at least not yet, that she saved him. After leaving the hotel, Joel shows the first sign of trust towards Ellie. He gives her the job of using a sniper while he goes down to do what he's been doing all along. And here he also admits that when she saved him, it was really between him and the man, admitting that she was right to act. After taking all the enemies, Joel gives Ellie a pistol, which he insists is only for emergencies, with heavy emphasis on that. But it's much more than that. It's a sign of trust. He's finally starting to see her as someone he can rely on. Meanwhile, still trying to escape this destroyed city, the two run into a kind of military vehicle with a turret on top that's killing people on the street. After escaping from it and entering an apartment, Joel is caught off guard and attacked by someone mysterious. After a few solid Joel-style punches, we find out that these two are Sam and Henry, two brothers with the same goal as us, to escape this city. After some discussion, Joel and Henry, the older brother, decide they can work together to get out. We go to their hideout to discuss the plan, and a really nice detail during this sequence is that while passing by a toy store, Henry doesn't let Sam take a toy, but if we're quick and observant enough, we can see Ellie secretly pick up the same toy to give it to him later. The plan is easy. Pass through this checkpoint and we're safe. But while doing that, the same turret vehicle from earlier appears. As we run, the ladder we're supposed to climb breaks and Henry and Sam abandon us, which makes Ellie jump down after us so she doesn't leave Joel behind. Cute. The two try to escape but end up at the edge of a bridge with nowhere to go. So Ellie, who already trusts Joel a lot, jumps into the water even though she can't swim because she knew Joel would jump in to save her, just like she did earlier. He jumps and saves her. A little while later, they wake up on a beach where Henry and Sam also are. Joel gets up and pins Henry to the ground because he took what happened very lightly. But Henry asks Joel if he wouldn't have done the same, and Joel already knows the answer, so the four continue together. It's also in this section that we get the full story of the notes from the famous Ish, a character we only know through letters but who became very famous in the Last of Us community. I won't cover his full story now, but it's a very tragic one. I would genuinely love to see Ish as a surprise character in a future game. But moving on, this is where the group enters the sewers. We have a few more sequences with Ellie on the water until we eventually reach a place with a castle drawn on its doors, a bunch of children's drawings, something that at first glance in this world looks like it might have been made by a madman or some weirdo. But this was the home, so to speak, of a group, several families, kids, adults, a group trying to survive the best way they could. Everything we see in this section is very well made, with attention to even the smallest details, and we find out that this place was where the same Ish from the notes lived, a place that now feels very eerie, sad, heavy to walk through. Eventually, after the duels got switched, Joel got trapped with Sam, and the same happened with Henry and Ellie. A cool sequence, I should say. We managed to leave the sewers and arrive in the suburbs, where we find a neighborhood full of houses and a sniper trying to kill us. We move forward, take out the sniper, and now we, Joel, become the sniper so the others can advance. The noise of this huge fight draws in a horde of infected, and Henry and Sam are attacked. But it doesn't matter which one we shoot first, the same thing will always happen. You know what I mean. After this, the four manage to escape and hide in a house near the radio tower they need to reach. Henry and Joel start to bond over their love for motorcycles and Joel's stories memories with Tommy before the apocalypse, Ellie, not that interested, goes over to Sam in what seems to be a more relaxed, peaceful moment where they can finally rest. But when Ellie walks into Sam's room, everything falls apart. The mood shifts, he starts asking weird questions like, are people still alive inside the infected? Do they die or do they live? It's a strange conversation that came out of nowhere, and it reaches the point where he asks Ellie how she's never afraid, but she says she is afraid of ending up alone, of being alone to be exact. At the end of the conversation, Ellie gives him the toy she managed to grab earlier, but for some reason he throws it to the floor. And then we see why. He's infected. And the next morning we get what I'd say is one of the saddest, heaviest, most emotional scenes I've ever seen in any game.
Sam?
The hell? Shit, he's turning! That's my fucking brother! Screw it!
Shit!
Ellie? Ellie, are you alright?
Oh my god.
Sam?
Oh no.
Sam? Henry? Ellie, stay there. Henry? What have you done? I'm gonna get that gun from you, okay? Oh, okay, easy.
It's your fault.
This is nobody's fault, Henry.
It's all your fault.
Henry! Henry, no!
Oh my god.
The fall chapter starts with Joel and Ellie walking through Jackson County, still looking for Tommy. They don't know exactly where he is, but they know he's somewhere in this area of Wyoming in Jackson. At this point, we, the player, have just witnessed one of the most traumatic scenes possible, but so have Joel and Ellie, and they deal with it in a sad but understandable way. They don't even talk about it. It's only mentioned in an optional dialogue when you have to seek out and want to hear. At a child's grave, where Ellie mentions wanting to talk about what happened, but Joel doesn't. And this shows us two sides that are deeply rooted in the characters. Joel has the approach of someone who has lived longer in this world and knows these types of tragedies happen, while Ellie is young and like a child discovering the world. She wants to talk about these things, no matter how delicate they are. Just to lighten things up a bit, I just want to say I love the little high five with Ellie. It's so cute. I can't believe Naughty Dog actually made a trophy for not giving the high five. Anyway, we eventually come across a massive dam where we're stopped at gunpoint, but not for long since the group that controls this dam is Tommy's group. Here we have this beautiful scene where the Miller brothers reunite after being separated for years. We also meet Maria, Tommy's wife, and we're given a tour of the facilities, and we see what is up to this point the closest thing to a functioning civilization in this world. Thanks to the leadership of Tommy and Maria and the dam itself, this huge group of people has electricity, light, people can live protected from the outside world and even have families again. During this tour, Tommy offers Joel a photo of him and Sarah that he managed to recover when he went back to their home in Texas. Joel refuses and can barely look at the photo, showing that all of this is still too much for him. Even after all these years, the wound is still very much open, reminding the player that Joel still thinks about Sarah all the time. Now, in the following moment, Joel reveals Ellie's immunity to Tommy. How he saw her breathe in spores that would have taken down hundreds of men and nothing happened to her. And what's interesting is that Joel doesn't ask for the Firefly's location. He actually asks Tommy to take Ellie to the Fireflies. Tommy refuses because of the big responsibilities he now has towards this community, but Joel, as the older brother, tries to impose himself in a certain way.
I bring you the cure from mankind, and you want to play the pissy little brother.
We ain't back in Boston. You lay your hands on me again, it won't end well for you.
This scene is abruptly cut off due to an attack by bandits who somehow managed to get to the far areas of the dam incredibly fast, but let's just ignore that. After killing them all, we see Joel checking to make sure Ellie is okay, and she's talking about everything that happened, completely frantic, while Joel is trying to make sure she calms down. And this moment being seen from Tommy's perspective makes it even better. Tommy, seeing that, he tells Maria that he needs to do this. He needs to take Ellie to the Fireflies. He's says it's because the cure, the vaccine, saving the world, blah blah blah, but we deep down know it's because he wants to protect Joel. While Tommy and Maria are discussing it, Joel and Ellie are off to the side. Ellie, who's no fool, quickly figures out what's happening, and she runs away when no one's looking, stealing a horse and riding off alone to a house on a ranch. We, along with Tommy, go after her on horseback, which I have to say is a very welcome section. We find the ranch house, go inside, and Ellie is sitting by the window in the bedroom reading the diary of a girl who used to live there before the apocalypse. And this scene is simply absurd. It's maybe one of the most crucial scenes for the entire development of the game, but more importantly for the relationship between these two. Please appreciate it.
Well, I guess we're both disappointed with each other then.
What do you want from me?
Admit that you wanted to get rid of me the whole time.
Tommy knows this area
Oh,
better
fuck
than...
that.
Well, I'm sorry. I trust him better than I trust myself.
Stop with the bullshit. What are you so afraid of? That I'm gonna end up like Sam? I can't get infected. I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
Well, we seem to be doing all right so far.
And now you'll be doing even better with Tommy.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel. But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad. And we are going our separate ways.
Get it together. We're not alone.
Once again, something very common throughout this game, the dialogue is interrupted by some enemies, but it's a really short section. And that conversation finally woke something up in Joel, the full acceptance of Ellie. Not during the dialogue itself, but because of it. This scene, just a few minutes long, shows more emotion than many movies, shows, including The Last of Us series itself. Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker have already received their flowers and they still deserve so much more. The emotion shown by both of them is something truly special and very unique. After this, we see Jackson, the big city where Tommy's group lives. And here, Joel tells Ellie to give the horse back to Tommy because the two of them are going to find the fireflies together. Joel has finally accepted his role as a father. You get it. It's a beautiful moment. I love it. I adore everything about it. Tommy then tells them that they might find the fireflies at the University of Eastern Colorado, so the two of them ride off together on their new horse named Callus, a name given by Ellie. And during this whole university section, the two are what is up until now the best phase of their relationship. There are lots of cute conversations which are lovely to listen to. They're finally open their hearts to one another. It's very cute, okay? But while exploring the university, there's only one thing we hear: silence. There's no one here. No one lives here. There are clear signs that people used to be here, but they're gone now. Eventually, at a place where we were supposed to find the fireflies, we come across some recordings, and from those we find out that the fireflies were doing infection experiments on monkeys. And basically, the monkeys didn't turn, but they carried the virus, and one of the dumb scientists got bitten by one of them, and wow, got infected. Anyway, in the last recording, we learned that the fireflies went to Salt Lake City, and that becomes our new objective: to reach the hospital in Salt Lake City, but not before having one more big fight with enemies, except this one isn't just another fight. Joel gets caught off guard, and in what feels like a failed quick-time event, but isn't, Joel is impaled by a metal rod that goes straight through his lower torso, something that would be completely fatal, especially in this world. I like the quick-time event, but man, the panic I felt thinking I had failed. I don't know if any of you felt like that, but I definitely felt like I had failed the quick-time event. Here, Ellie helps Joel pull himself off the metal bar and they start walking. Joel is like a drunk man, stumbling upon everything, but they keep moving. It's obviously strange that he's even able to walk with an injury like that, but let's ignore it. They manage to reach the horse, and after that burst of adrenaline fades, Joel collapses, and Ellie panics.
You gotta tell me what to do. You gotta get up! Joel!
Winter starts in a different way from the other seasons. Calmer, more serene, in the middle of a snowy forest with a rabbit walking around, living its life, kinda. Ellie is out hunting in the forest, and it's really important to highlight that this is the first time we play as Ellie. And it's curious because during all the game's marketing, the developers kept saying, no, you don't play as Ellie, it's only Joel. And that was important to reinforce the shock of this moment and how important it is to Ellie's arc. She starts tracking a deer, she managed to hit it with a few arrows, and the deer ends up dying near some buildings. That's when two adult men show up out of nowhere. They say their names are David and James, and that they're from a large group and that they're starving. They basically offer a trade, the deer in exchange for whatever Ellie needs. And without any hesitation, she says she needs medicine, which is a huge relief, since at this point we didn't know if Joel had died or if he was still alive. Hearing this makes us relax a bit. David, who seems to be the leader, sends James to go fetch some medicine, so they can make the deal. Ellie, obviously, stays extremely suspicious and alert the entire time. While they're waiting, they're attacked by infected, and Ellie, overwhelmed by everything, is saved by David, who, even though he had given his rifle to Ellie, had a pistol hidden. This shows that he could have attacked Ellie if he wanted to, a very smart trick by him to deceive Ellie and us the player too for what's to come. They work together through several waves of infected, giving Ellie and the player more and more reasons to trust him. Then they return to where the deer was and set up a more pleasant atmosphere by a campfire, and David mentions something very, very interesting.
Now you see, I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
I do. And I can prove it to you. Now, this winter, that's been especially cruel. A few weeks back, I sent a group of men out to a nearby town to look for food. Only a few came back. They said that the others had been slaughtered by a crazy man. And get this, he's a crazy man traveling with a little girl.
David betrays Ellie with a very efficient plan, and despite everything, he lets her go with the medicine. And Ellie, innocent and shaken by what just happened, doesn't even think about how easy it is to be tracked in this snow, and that's exactly what happens. She treats Joel with the medicine, falls asleep, and the next morning she wakes up to see David's men very close to where they're hiding. Ellie grabs her horse, still callous, and tries to escape. Sadly, the horse is shot in the head and Ellie falls off a cliff. We now go through some sequences where stealth is absolutely essential. Ellie has fewer weapons than Joel, she's weaker, smaller, and we have to play with intelligence. After going through everything imaginable, just when Ellie is about to get away, she's captured by David. And we get a very strange, creepy scene that makes my whole body twist. We find out that David's group hunts humans to eat them, and that David wants Ellie, wants her in a bad sense, and it's not to eat. He wants to get close to her, intimately. Gross. It's at this moment that the medicine Ellie gave Joel finally starts working. We switch perspectives to Joel waking up, and yes, it's really strange how he's suddenly able to walk normally, shoot again like nothing happened after such a serious injury, but honestly I can easily overlook that. It didn't really bother me that much. During this part we once again have a war zone with Joel, and he captures two enemies to do a bit of a light interrogation about Ellie's whereabouts.
Focus right here, right here. I'll pop your goddamn knee off. The girl.
She's alive. She's David's newest pet.
Where?
In the town. In the town.
Now you're gonna mark it on the map. And it better be the same exact spot your buddy points to. Mark it.
It's right there. You can verify it. Go ask him. Go on. I tell you, I ain't lying. I ain't.
Fuck you, man. He told you what you wanted. I ain't telling you shit.
That's all right. I believe him.
This is a perfect scene to show Joel's other side, and once again, Troy Baker's performance as Joel is phenomenal. What an actor. This is the side of Joel that survived more than 20 years in this cruel world. The side willing to put moral codes aside. He's ready to do whatever it takes if it means protecting the one he loves. Well, yeah. We go back to Ellie, and she's being placed on a table to become someone's dinner over the next few days. But before they can do anything, Ellie says she's infected, and they see the bite mark on her arm. In the middle of this confusion, Ellie kills James and manages to escape. This whole section, once again with Ellie, has to be full stealth, and the snowstorm really helps. It lowers the enemy's visibility, which makes a big difference. Until we reach the restaurant, and we get our second boss fight in the whole game, and it's absolutely terrifying. We use stealth, but so does David. We have to be very alert to sounds because the listening mode doesn't work when David is hiding. You might even get a few David jump scares, but the fight itself is simple. You just have to stay focused. After stabbing him a few times, the game switches back to Joel. After some more combat, he arrives at the same restaurant where Ellie and David are. Then it switches back to Ellie, who's waking up and crawling towards a knife on the floor. David gets up and starts strangling her, but she manages to reach the knife and completely destroys his face. And the game doesn't show it, which makes it even better and more terrifying, to be honest. And the rest, I'll let you just feel.
Stop!
Fucking touch me!
It's okay. It's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
No.
It's okay.
Joel calls her baby girl, the same name he called Sarah when she was dying, showing that he's finally accepted Ellie fully as his daughter in this moment of complete vulnerability for both of them. We arrive at the final chapter of the game, and spring begins a few months after that traumatic scene for Ellie. Joel, now in full dad mode, is constantly talking about all sorts of things. He even says he's going to teach Ellie how to play guitar, but Ellie is closed off, quieter, very distant. It feels like they've basically switched roles. Joel is talkative and Ellie is the quiet one, and it's worth saying that they're not even sure the Fireflies are still here. It's very possible the same thing happened as at the university, that they've already left. After a few strange moments where Ellie is still clearly down, we arrive at what is maybe the most iconic scene in The Last of Us. We find some giraffes that escaped from a zoo somewhere way back in the beginning of the apocalypse, and now they live here, in this place where nature has taken over what used to be a city controlled by humans. This scene is very calm, and it brings a bit of hope not just to us, but also to Ellie, who sees that there are still beautiful things left in this world. This whole giraffe sequence is really important because we can literally stay here as long as we want, appreciating the view, clearing our minds, and here we as the player and Joel and Ellie can understand that this might be the last moment of peace, this calm before everything goes downhill. I honestly stayed here for a good few minutes, and I always do every time I replay. But before we even leave, Joel turns to Ellie and says this.
We don't have to do this. You know that, right?
What's the other option?
Go back to Tommy's. Just be done with this whole damn thing.
After all we've been through. Everything that I've done. It can't be for nothing.
A shame that Ellie wanted to keep going. After that, we find some camps and medical tents, and Ellie gives something very interesting to Joel. She reveals that she stole the same photo of Joel and Sarah, the one Joel had refused from Tommy.
Well, no matter how hard you try, I guess you can't escape your past. Thank you.
And he keeps going calmly, which shows that he's grown. He finally accepted what happened over 20 years ago and moved on. After this, we face the final infected gauntlet, lots of bloaters, clicker, every type of infected we've seen throughout the game, we fight here. But at the end of the tunnel, we find a section flooded with water and we end up getting caught in it. Ellie, who can't swim, nearly drowns, and just as Joel is performing CPR, a firefly shows up and knocks Joel out. Joel wakes up shortly after in the hospital bed with Marlene beside him. Joel, desperate, asks where Ellie is and we learn that she's okay, but she's being prepped for surgery. Marlene then explains that the Cordyceps grows around the brain and in Ellie it somehow adapted, and what happened inside her is the key to a vaccine, at least according to the very competent fireflies. Joel does the basic math and realizes that brain surgery would kill Ellie, and obviously he's against that. Marlene anticipates this, orders a soldier to escort Joel out of the hospital and kill him if he tries anything. Obviously, that doesn't work, and we then have a full combat and stealth sequence throughout the whole hospital. But what's really interesting during this whole section are the recordings you can find. There are some from Marlene where she talks about how hard it is to accept that Ellie has to die for this or the possibility of a cure. But to me, the most interesting one is the surgeon's recording, where he mentions that Ellie's immunity isn't like anything he's ever seen, and that there have been other cases, and the way he speaks, it does suggest that there were other immune people, but different from Ellie, and that the cause of Ellie's immunity is uncertain and that there's no guarantee of any cure, only a possibility. Meaning, yes, there could be others like Ellie out there. It's not impossible. And to get a cure from this one person in this place with just one surgeon who has no experience in this field, who doesn't know where Ellie's immunity comes from, doesn't know how to develop a vaccine from her, in these nearly makeshift conditions with the Firefly's own limitations, I think all of that heavily influences Joel's final decision. Or I'm just making up excuses. After making it through the entire hospital, we arrive at the operating room where Ellie is being prepped for surgery, and the surgeon, the same one from the recording, refuses to let Joel get near her. But no matter what we want to do, Joel kills him. And no matter whether we kill the nurses or not, they always survive in the story of the second game, okay? Stupid. Joel picks up Ellie and the soldiers don't shoot. They don't want to risk hitting her, at least now, because when we reach the elevator they actually shoot, alright? And now an interesting detail that I mentioned earlier in the video, Joel carries Ellie lower than he carried Sarah at the start of the game. Obviously that might just be because Ellie is unconscious and that weight while Sarah was awake, but I like to think that Joel is doing this to shield Ellie, that if he gets shot again, it'll be him taking the hit this time, not her like it was with Sarah. As he escapes, Marlene appears and tries to stop him, tries to convince him that this is what Ellie would have wanted, and then the game cuts to Joel driving silent, with a very tense, uneasy expression, until we see Ellie in the backseat.
What happened?
Found the fireflies. Turns out there's a whole lot more like you, Ellie. People that are immune. There's dozens, actually. Ain't done 'em a damn bit of good, neither. They've stopped looking for a cure. I'm taking us home. I'm sorry.
Wait! Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
This is the complex situation that's still debated to this day, whether Joel was right or not. Despite the pure incompetence of the Fireflies, and even though I personally don't believe they would have been able to develop or distribute a cure, I think Joel did this for obvious personal reasons. He's a broken person, and he found shelter in Ellie. Do I think he did the right thing? I do. And I like that he made that decision, but obviously Ellie would have sacrificed herself for a cure. Putting all that debate aside, Joel and Ellie arrive in Jackson, the place where they'll try to start a new life. And what's very interesting is that we control Ellie. The game begins with Joel's daughter and ends with Joel's other daughter. And we get this.
Hey, wait. Back in Boston? Back when I was bitten? I wasn't alone. My best friend was there. And she got bit too. We didn't know what to do. So... she says... let's just wait it out. You know, we can be all poetic and just lose our minds together. I'm still waiting for my turn.
Ellie.
Her name was Riley, and she was the first to die. And then it was Tess. And then Sam.
None of that is on you.
You don't understand.
I struggled for a long time with surviving. And you... no matter what, you keep finding something to fight for. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear right now.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't think Ellie believes Joel, but I do think she accepts it. She accepts that they're trying to live. She knows he didn't tell the full story, or maybe not even of it, but this present moment is their present, and for now, at least, she's ready to move forward. I just went through the entire story of the game, and don't worry, I'm not going to spend nearly as much time talking about the rest of it. But for example, the gameplay, it's like the story in a way, raw, brutal, and realistic. For many people, it might even feel simple or basic, and that's one of the most common criticisms I see about the game, and I can understand it, but personally, I've always liked it, and I still do. I've always enjoyed the combat, even if it's not super complex, and I love the animations, but of course, the combat improved a lot in The Last of Us Part 2, no doubt about that, but something that for me truly stands out, something that never ages and probably never will, is the soundtrack. One of the most iconic ever made, and one that captures the emotion of the game perfectly. The Last of Us, as a whole, was a project that changed the landscape of gaming, especially narrative-driven games, and showed how to build an amazing relationship that isn't perfect fairy tale Disney type. And honestly, I loved making this video, and I loved even more the performances of Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson as Joel and Ellie. So, to all of you, whether you're many or just a few if you've made it this far, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, drop a like if you feel like it, and you already know, thank you so much for watching.